Hello and welcome to the official Sea of Thieves podcast. I'm John McMurtry, head of video production here at Rare, and today I am joined by...
Drew Stevens, production director.
I'm Mike Chapman, creative director.
Christina McFairhome, head of community and communications.
James Thomas, associate tech director on Sea of Thieves.
So it's been a bit of a long time since we last did a podcast. It's actually been about a year since the last podcast, so apologies for that. But we're back again, which is great. I'm glad everyone's managed to come back into the tavern to join me here today.
It's good to be back.
And obviously, this is all part of a push where we want to be a little bit more transparent. We want to talk to our community a little bit more. And we want to try and make the podcast a little bit more regular than it used to be. I think when we did the podcast before, it was kind of like, well, when, we could just do it whenever.
When we could squeeze it in. It was as and when, wasn't it? And it was always fun to do. But I think now, making a more conscious effort to use the podcast, because it's a lot of fun to do them, as an outlet for information, to chat, and what's coming next, what's going on with the game.
Exactly. So the way that we're going to run the podcast now is we're going to do one per season. And it will probably land around that sort of midpoint in a season. So you'll have had a bit of time since the season launched. So we can kind of reflect on a season launch. And we might even be able to tease what's going to happen in the next season as well. But also, that's not the only thing that's making a return. We just recently brought back the developer update. Drew, do you want to talk a bit about the developer update, why we brought it back as a standalone video?
Yeah, it's great to be back. I think there was a 4-year gap between the last developer update and this one, so a slightly larger gap.
Was it really that long?
Yeah, it was.
Standalone ones, yeah.
Wow.
Standalone 2020. And over the last year, we've used SOT News to deliver kind of game updates that allow us to talk a little bit more and expand on the actual game experience and things that we're doing, things that aren't working quite well, how we can go and improve the experience. But I think it's been a nice return to form to be able to come back in the tavern and have a space to be able to talk a little bit more openly without the croppings of, hey, there's a video that needs to go out and it needs to be of this length. I can at least now talk in a bit more longer form about things. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be back into that rhythm of dropping those. We'll be dropping those monthly. So it'll always be ahead of the next update. We can always reflect on what's been happening, things that we need to update players on, and an opportunity for us to tease not only what's coming in the next update and talk a little bit of the lower level stuff, that maybe things that excite us on the patch notes that don't necessarily end up in the trailers and videos and that resonate really with our players. And then the opportunity to talk about some topics that are potentially a little bit further on, like the recent one we talked about, the Safer Seas changes that we're going to be making in December. So an opportunity to look a little bit further out ahead.
Nice. One of the other things we're doing, and we're adding it to Sea of Thieves News, I actually did it on the last Sea of Thieves News, was a first look segment. So that's sort of looking at a feature that, again, might be a little bit further away and sort of just giving a brief insight to that. Now, I will caveat that is we're not going to do it in every Sea of Thieves News episode. We'll try and do it as often as we can, but I think introducing these back into Sea of Thieves News was kind of important because I think people have always liked getting that kind of glimpse ahead at what's
Peek behind the curtain.
Exactly. It's really nice to be able to show what we can. Obviously, we want to keep some things to surprise and delight players at the right time.
I guess the point is there's always so much going on.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, we're always working on so many things across content, bug fixes, the core of the game. There's always something to talk about. So be sure you don't want to do podcasts every week.
Weekly podcasts?
You could edit that, couldn't you, in time?
Nah. So let's talk about what's been going on with Sea of Thieves. So
what has been going on?
What has been going on with Sea of Thieves?
What has been going on?
I think we can sort of maybe take a little moment to reflect on the launch of Season 14 and what's been going on there. Who wants to take that one?
I actually thought you were going to have a minute's silence for Season 14. I thought that's where you were going with it. I was like, wow, this...
Who wants to take a moment? And,
I think the beautiful thing about the podcast and all these different channels and avenues of speaking to our players is that it's going to allow us to provide some nuance and some context. And I think for this one, I think probably talking about Season 14, it feels like a good space for us to cover that, because I think we can all admit around this table it's been pretty tough.
It has.
We've taken a little bit of a battering, and it's tough. And I feel this is obviously going out at the end of November. I think we'll have those kind of shaky first moments of Season 14 will have ironed those out, and we'll be kind of hopefully hitting our stride. But it's been pretty tough. It's been pretty tough for my team on the end of kind of player frustrations, which are absolutely and totally valid. But I think we've made some really tough decisions. I think to make sure that, fundamentally we're prioritising the retail experience of the game, even if that kind of compromises our release schedule, which has fundamentally been the case, right?
Just going to say, I think speaking openly, the community don't need us to reiterate, there's people that make the game and we have feelings, but like that, I think is kind of separate to, how people feel when the game that they love isn't working correctly. And the content that we've got them excited about, we've extolled the virtues of, hasn't landed the way we intended. And I think it's easy for me to say that all of this comes from the place of we want our game to feel vibrant, that it's always changing, there's things to be excited for. Sea of Thieves is the place to play all your pirate adventures, but that kind of goes out the window a little bit when the game's just not working correctly. So I think it's come from that place of always wanting to update the game and add exciting things, but the foundation on which we are adding things is shaky, to be honest. And I think the integrity of that game experience when you play Sea of Thieves, we want it to be as stable as possible. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to reflect on with the launch of Season 14. It's been tough.
And just to sort of recap then, so Drew, do you want to take us back to day one of Season 14? What actually happened there and what was the issue that prevented us from releasing several features into the build?
So yeah, I think it can be broadly summarised that we struggled with quality control for Season 14 as a broad statement. And I think I reflect on the need to be delivering content regularly for us to commit to our season dates. And in the past, we would have continued to ship those features and strive for quality and strive to get fixes in. I think we tried to do that as part of Season 14, but what it resulted in was us assessing very late in the day that there was a couple of key features that just weren't up to quality bar. And we unfortunately had to make those decisions way too late. Like that is a challenge of quality control that we just didn't spot those things until too late. And we had to make the decision around. We made the decision around traps. We made the decision around disguises, around crouching and hanging from ledges. And unfortunately, those features just weren't at quality at the time we needed to ship the build. I think it was an incredibly painful decision, but the right one to pause those features and give us the time to go and fix them up. I know that was difficult for us, for the team, for our players. It was a difficult decision to go make. But I think we're reflecting on what is the most urgent priority for us and prioritising the player experience and holding our hands up and saying, hey, this feature isn't ready, and holding that feature back when it's the right decision is going to be tough, and it's going to be a muscle that we probably haven't exercised in a little while.
No, and speaking absolutely honest to players, I think similar seasons have gone a similar way before, and honestly, because of last minute fixes or the actual impact in the game hasn't been that broad in a negative sense, we've got away with it. But I think it's almost like Season 14, all the chickens came home to roost. And that kind of Hail Mary fixes, we didn't get them in time. So we had to make the difficult decision, as Drew says, to turn these things off.
There's always a flurry of activity in the last few days before any release, as we try and cram in qualities, we try and polish everything up as much as we can, but ultimately there was just a few too many things this time round.
And you do get the signals early, don't you? You get the signals that, we know that, looking at the roadmap, Traps is going to land in a state where we can review it and assess the quality quite late in the day. And we might know that halfway through the season. The last thing we want to do is go, well, that's it then. Cut Traps. But we've already got excited about Traps. We know our players are going to love them. So we go, oh, it'll be all right. And sometimes it's just not all right.
I think to that point, sometimes the cat's out of the bag with our insiders. And they're like, this is wicked. This is amazing. Yeah. And you're like, oh, we can't take it off you now.
Yeah, this is it.
We've made some decisions like that similarly. I can't remember if we've talked about this publicly, but the grapple gun.
Yes.
Obviously, the grapple gun was supposed to land a little bit earlier than where it did land.
Yes.
And, that was to make sure that we had the kind of right nuance and kind of right balancing for that to land right. That was supposed to be a season or two before, if I'm...
It was. The grapple gun was intended as part of that tools focus of season 12. And it didn't go all the way to the end, but it got about halfway through. And we thought, we're not going to have anywhere near the amount of time. It was so far out that we thought, we still want to do it, but let's save it for a future season. That season became Season 14.
Also allowed us to take on a lot more feedback from the insiders as well, which was invaluable for that weapon.
And obviously, so it was a bit of a rocky start then for Season 14. Christina, What was the sort of general reaction from the community?
I mean, it may not surprise you to learn. It was mixed.
Yeah.
And I think for just full disclosure, like full credit to the teams internally, especially my team who managed messaging this. It's really tough to just go out there and be like, sorry guys, all that stuff we promised you about 4 days ago in that really great video, that's not going to land. So we have to obviously message it in the most honest and best way we could, and then deal with the frustration. I think, Mike, to your point, some of that's super valid frustration, right? They're not getting the tools that they were promised, or the game isn't working as we intended. It doesn't excuse some of the not very nice words that are used sometimes in some of our social spaces, but so certainly the source of that frustration, we felt it ourselves, as fans of the game and as players and as team members, that this is not how you want something that you've poured a load of love in to land, especially when, sentiment about the features before they launched was so positive. Yeah. Everyone was incredibly excited about this season. Our kind of season 14 content update video was, I think, one of the most watched that we've had in recent times, because people were just like, this is really cool. Yeah. So for it to then land the way it did is really hard. I think there are a lot of expectations that we missed, and hopefully we're on our path to kind of clawing back some of that kind of like, I guess, kind of enjoyment of Sea of Thieves and kind of in those new features. It was particularly, like, I think a little bit devastating for me for disguises, because in like the day they were live, the amount of ridiculously dorky,
it was great,
adorable clips of just like little chests waddling around. I was like,
so
this is a bit like I never even thought, when you sit and watch it and review, oh cool, someone's going to use that for hiding, think of all the use cases. You don't just think about a full crew just waddling around this chest and the kind of comedy value of that. So yeah, no, obviously the disguises will have been live, I think, for a couple of weeks now when this podcast comes out. So it'd be really nice to kind of see that kind of positive energy come back around season 14. But it's been really difficult kind of on the front line of player frustrations. And I think credit to Drew and yourself for pulling together kind of a video to kind of go explain about what's been going on, kind of giving our players state of plays, whether it be on the forums. We've done a lot of explaining and hopefully kept people abreast of what's been going on, even though it might be not what they want to hear. So we've done our best.
It's a shame when going into this year, we made it, and we said it on a few occasions, panels, on our forums, that we wanted to make this year the year of Sandbox and Sandbox refresh. And I think I myself, like, teasing that last year, like season 14 was very much in mind and what the feature set was. And internally we often called it a classic Sea of Thieves update. This is all the things to drive those stories. But at the same time, with what's happened, people are absolutely entitled to feel disappointed. Paying customers financially, but also paying with their time. Like, I absolutely, we're all absolutely gutted by the situation. But we're in a better place now, and we just need to ensure that the quality of the actual build live is the focus.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, it's like, obviously, Drew, you've spoken a little bit about this in some of the other videos, but what are we kind of doing now? What's been put in place to sort of prevent something like what happened with season 14 happening again?
There's some short-term things that we're doing, which is, hey, we've got by the time this goes out, we'll have already delivered our November update, so we'll be heading for our December update. So there's some short-term stuff, but the big changes are the mid-term things that are just going to take some time to put into place. For the short-term stuff, like, there is just a general heightened focus across all of us in terms of quality control. That is from the teams working on the features, to the leads that are reviewing progress, to the production team that are trying to manage and keep on track and assessing what risks are coming through the features and making sure we can ship those features at quality. And I think that is going to result in us making difficult decisions where we need to, of saying this feature for this release is just not ready. We're not going to take features late into the process or take fixes late. We're actually going to make pragmatic decisions a little bit more upfront. Those are going to be difficult, but they're going to be the right decisions.
I guess what you're saying, one of the, if I can glean a positive from what's happened, is that season 14 has happened now.
Yes.
So that factors into the decisions that we make.
Yeah. So that think.
Speaking about myself there, by the way, when I'm really pushing for a particular feature, I'm going to have that sobering thought, as in, this is it, red alert. This is another season 14. Need to be careful.
Alongside the pragmatic assessment of where we're at, we've been trying to improve the flow of communication with insiders as well. I know there's been some like frustration about insiders saying, "Hey, we reported these types of issues," and I'll be honest, trying to navigate through the forums is a bit of a challenge when we're on the run towards a release, trying to pull together all of the information about what is critical. As part of November's update, we did a little bit of an ad hoc process to kind of create a space that allowed insiders to target, this is a critical experience issue. You should go and sit up and listen, and this is a thing that you should go fix. And pulled that outside of the normal, this is where you can talk about bugs and the general reporting flow. That was really helpful for November's update. We had a number of issues that were surfaced in there for the first time that we went, okay, Christ, we need to go jump on those things. So I think just a general improving the flow of communication. And then November's update actually had longer time in internal test and with insiders than we would normally do. And we'll be following that up in December and onwards into future releases. So we are not just looking at short-term solves. We're definitely going, hey, Sea of Thieves, we've got to go and look at longer-term opportunities to improve how we work.
Nice. And I guess part of that sort of longer-term focus on stuff like game health, that's kind of where you come in, James, as well.
Yes.
So you're obviously leading this team. And do you want to just give a bit of information about what you and your team are up to at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So for a long time on Sea of Thieves, we've basically had the engine team and a lot of different gameplay teams going towards creating features or seasons that have come out. But it's usually been up to those teams individually to effectively pay for the features they put into the game. So if you're going to spend some CPU, you've got to save it elsewhere. And the running joke is that we've been out of memory for 6 years. And it's been a constant joke that we have to try and mine the memory mines to find something back to pay for the next feature. Yeah. So the game health team is basically set up to be a dedicated resource to try and address some of those issues. They're a bit of a catch-all team that can try and help out in many different places. So we listen to community about if there's anything we can do. We listen to design and production where they can steer us. So we try and take in features or work from a lot of places. But it boils down to, at the moment, we're looking at exploits, we're looking at game stability, and we're looking at perf investigations. So this dedicated team are going to try and make Sea of Thieves more stable, run better. However, it's not an easy job at all. This is going to be a slow and steady continual progress. So a lot of the work that we're looking at doesn't necessarily have predictable timelines. So there's going to be a lot of investigations, a lot of poking, hopefully some wins as well. But we're trying to look at the big stuff rather than just, can we get through to this next season, which is nice, looking at that longer term picture.
And Drew, why did you think it was important to have a dedicated team focusing on that sort of stuff?
I think it's, to JT's point, there's almost and every game team has got their season to go shoot for or their live event that they're going to go and run at. Every team has got their core focus to go and shoot for. Yeah. And when you're working towards that next beat, it's always difficult to then find time within your team to also divert to that hot exploit. We need to go and find some time to that. And I think we got ourselves into a structure on Sea of Thieves where every team had a clear next deliverable. Yeah. And game health problems or live incidents or exploits were just always something that stopped us getting to that next delivery of something. So that we trialed for a number of years let's see if we can ask you to beg, borrow and steal some resource from here to try and focus on the high impact stuff. And it got us some way towards addressing those things. But it was always tough. It made the features that we were trying to deliver as part of seasons more difficult to go and deliver. So in the same guise that we've addressed seasons, live events, all of the various different work streams on Sea of Thieves, a dedicated team with ring-fenced resource is the right way to go and tackle it. I think the challenge for game health is that there's so many features to go and focus on effectively.
Because it's not just the engineers or designers that are the good quality resource going to try and fix the things. It's really nice having producers and production involved to own that problem, to pull in the different disciplines to try and solve it. Because again, when it was spread out between the game teams before, it was, we're looking at this, but planning this. So it was all too easy just to maybe knock it to the side if the season release was coming screaming over the horizon. So
I'm curious about, is there work that's made it into a build that you guys have already been working on, or is there stuff coming soon that you can talk about?
Yeah, there's been some bits and pieces, he says, checking his list. The team have been up and running for a good couple of months now, so it's still new, but they've been able to make some impressions. So they fixed glitches where you could get stuck in the tunnels in Hourglass that used to drown a load of people. We've handled invitation bugs on PlayStation. We've been freeing up memory places. We've been sorting out commendation blockers, and looking at mesh fallbacks as well to try and recoup some of the performance things. So there's a lot of little things already going in there. And there's a number of investigations still going on.
I'm going to ask you about those because I know who's going to be watching this, and I know they're going to be excited about some of the things you're exploring. Some of those kind of long-standing bugs or issues we've had reported that just have been kind of present for a period of time. Things like Merchant Alliance.
Talk about supply.
The crates.
Yes, we've got an engineer dedicated to having a look at the two biggest problems on crates, which is 1, not giving them, and 2, giving too many. We need to find a happy middle ground of giving just the right number.
Giving Goldilocks, to be honest. Yes. I love that.
Yeah, but we've got someone investigating that right now.
Perfect.
We've also got a couple of other investigations going on. Booty. One of our...
Please elaborate.
Yes. There's certain choices I think we made 8, 9, 10 years ago that we might have changed if we knew where we were now and just how prevalent certain items in the world would be. And so we've been looking at the telemetry, we've been looking at the data and going, actually, there's a nice correlation going with the more booty items, more treasure items that you have on our server, the worse it probably performs. And this can be because it's floating in the water, it's taking up memory on islands, people are interacting with them. So they're quite complex objects compared to what they should have been.
This is all the physical treasure items, isn't it?
Yes.
Mermaid gems, chalices, chests.
If you can pick it up and hand it in, that's what we class as booty.
Referred to as booty.
Yes.
Internally.
I think just on that one, it's worth us acknowledging that we know that storing lots of loot items on ships and storing things in a vault is it's a great gameplay experience.
Yeah.
It's a great shareable moment of seeing ships full of treasure. Yeah. So we're not knee-jerking into, okay, cool, let's reduce the amount of treasures on the server. But there is a pragmatic approach.
But our players will know, right, that back in 2018, if they've played that long, there was a lot less items that you'd find as part of a voyages out in the world. Now there's, the beaches are like the poor Maldives, like the beaches in the Maldives. There's that much stuff washed up to shore, isn't there? Like it makes the sessions really rewarding. And when the vault opens in a Skeleton Fort vault, you want to see that bonanza of treasure to go after. So, but that comes with the performance here, right? Which is what you're looking at.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we're not going to try and take away anyone's treasure. We want to make it so that we can put even more in, because I've seen some of the plans and the plots, and there's always going to be something tastier for pirates to go run around and find.
Efficient booty is what you're saying.
Efficient booty.
It's my nickname, so that's good.
Now, I know that there's probably one other thing that you guys are looking at that everyone would like to know, have a little update on, and that is Easy Anti-Cheat. What's the current status of Easy Anti-Cheat, and is there anything we're changing about how we're using it?
So Easy Anti-Cheat, that's been in for a little while now, and I know there've been hiccups with it along the way, but despite some of those hiccups, it's still really performing well. We know for a fact that it's blocking thousands of cheats every single day. So there are still some getting through. This is why the game health team is around, to try and fix the exploits, to try and shut things down. But yeah, Easy Anti-Cheat is superb for what we need it to be. It's shutting off so many little avenues that we do. We are looking at trying to upgrade it, because obviously it's a system, a service that will keep on being tweaked as new nefarious ways are found across the seas. But we are having issues with that, so we're engaging with Epic, with Easy Anti-Cheat, to try and support us to get that repaired, patched up.
I think alongside Easy Anti-Cheat, the topic of player cheating is not just an anti-cheat solve. We've seen lots of great results from the last 3 months of actually putting folks into almost a reactive detection, prevention place of going, yes, we see players have found a way to be able to fly, but we put folks into the game experience, they find the telemetry for what they're doing, and then build in auto-ban approaches that can be deployed live without new content updates. We've actually seen that as a really quick reactive approach, because it's going to take time for Epic to release sequential updates to Easy Anti-Cheat. I think we can go faster.
It's one of the quality pushes that we're trying to do behind the scenes as well. For every new feature that goes in, make sure you have telemetry to back it up, because it allows us to do that detective diving of the data to find and improve autoban.
Cool. So, talking about adding new things into the game, let's just go back and reflect on what we did add with Season 14, because there's some really, really cool stuff in there.
There is.
And all the way to a rocky start, let's chat about what we think, what's that brought to the Sandbox, these new additions in Season 14?
We mentioned a feature we'd originally planned for Season 12, which was the grapple gun.
Yes.
So being able to, quickly grapple loot onto your ship, being able to grapple around the world. The grapple gun, for us on the design team, represents a slight change in how we think about the armory. Right. So the armory is a place where players can be served up new kinds of weapons, but that doesn't mean it has to be exclusively weapons. The armory is obviously where people manage their loadout, but using that as a way where we can give people the choice to take tools that give them new strategies. And that's where the grapple gun came from, kind of broadening what the armory could be in the game. So that's interesting to think about when you think about where that could go in the future.
Yeah.
We obviously added the ability to crouch, only 6.5 years in. Something we always wanted to add in the game, but then coupling that with the ability to disguise yourself as a chest and a barrel. So we'd obviously had the barrel hide emote in for a while, but truly embracing that idea that you could disguise yourself and waddling about as a little chest and a barrel. See a little bit of inspiration there from classic games like Wind Waker, but like having that on demand was something that we wanted to add.
One of the videos that I tried to send to the team to G them back up, going like, "We can do this, you can do this," was the cup and ball game where you have three people disguised as barrels.
Oh, right.
And they just like
very good.
Can you find them like just seeing the level of ingenuity and just creativity that players are coming up with are using it is just superb. So.
Very good.
For the brief window that they were active, Christina, how did players react to them?
Do you know what? Like I said earlier, they were just loved. They were universally loved, and all the best clips. And I think I said earlier, when we think about all the different use cases internally, like you think about hiding, how it might be kind of folded into strategy, not just like playing the cup and ball game, or just waddling for fun. And as soon as they went live, like they're really kind of the superstar of the first kind of 24 hours, to be honest, seeing how people were using them. So it's great to get them back into players' hands and see some of that stuff resurface. It's really brilliant.
I loved the trick where they went into the gold hoarder's vault at the end.
Oh,
yeah.
And everybody snuck up to the gold hoarder. He's sitting on his throne.
Falcor, wasn't it?
Yeah, just sitting there. And I remember we were crafting out that sequence with the gold horse and keeping him in the dark. Yeah, then you walked across the trigger point and it started the sequence.
For you, isn't it?
But now you've got loads of barrel people just waddling around it. And it's going.
He can't see that. He's blind.
No, he's not.
Oftentimes we talk about looking at tactics and things that emerge in the community. And obviously the phenomenon of tucking has always been big in the community, but trying to designing a feature that kind of speaks to that, but also does it in an unexpected way. So that's kind of the crazy idea that is disguises.
Well, you sort of described the features as like kind of classic Sea of Thieves Sandbox like update. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we had the blowpipe in there as well.
We did.
We're adding to the blowpipe with the next month's update.
We are. So the blowpipe is very much the start for what could be a selection of darts that we add over time. We've got one planned for December, which is the Mimic Dart, which was one we got excited about in the kind of early creative process for the blowpipe. So the ability to shoot someone with a dart and steal their appearance and all the hijinks that could lead to. But no, the blowpipe's a great sandbox, tool/weapon that can be used out there. And, having this selection of darts that we can expand over time is pretty exciting as well. But love that idea of it kind of feels like a classic weapon in our world, the idea of having this blowpipe out there on the waves and lurking in the shadows and firing darts into unsuspecting pirates. And then off the back of crouch and disguise is a complementary feature is the ability to hang off ledges, which is a lot of fun. So the ability to be crouched, approach these kind of places earmarked on the ship where you can effectively hang on by your fingernails onto the side of the ship. So it's going to be fascinating to see how the community uses that.
Yeah. So as well as things like the Golden Scallywags, there's actually a lot to look forward in December in terms of game events. Do you want to talk about a little bit about what game events are on in December?
I'd love to.
You'd love to.
I'd love to. So,
I'm glad.
I'm glad Christina prepared.
Hence the laptop. So obviously, as players view this, we'll have just had hopefully a really successful Season 14 community weekend with lots of lovely goodies on offer and pop-up blunder.
Oh.
So I hope that you didn't get too tricked by the devious James making silly maps and tricking you all. It's a really exciting event. I can't wait to see it in players' hands and see how that goes. But then on December the 2nd, Legends Week arrives. So
So that's what happens in Legends Week. We find legendary message in bottles washed up around the Sea of Thieves. Is that right?
Yep, we've got legendary messages in bottles. We've got legendary daily deeds, and then there'll also be double golden reputation on offer for any Athena's Fortune treasure successfully handed in. And then also we'll have an extra bonus. So for people who complete enough of the voyages, the legendary messages in bottles, they will get the Life of a Legend tattoo.
Oh, very cool.
Not
very
one
nice.
of Drew's. A legend with tattoos, but it was a very special bespoke one, which is really nice. Yeah, there's a lot on offer, and it lasts a week, so it'll end on December 9th. And hopefully that gives players enough opportunities to discover these kind of in-world bottles and basically make stonks. Hashtag make stonks.
So a lot for Legends to look forward to. What else are we doing in December? Because there's lots. There's more than that.
So from December the 1st,
Yep.
our in-game decorations, our festive decorations will be switched on. Any candy canes? What's the law with the candy cane, actually, Mike?
The law with the candy cane. Oh, don't put me on the spot with that. So I have to retcon that one.
And it's not just the tavern decorations, the Christmas tree's back as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
It is, isn't it?
No, it is. It is.
No, it is. It absolutely
We can
is.
afford it now.
Yeah.
performance-wise.
From all the memory work.
Yeah, at one point I was
Good
labelled the Grinch for saying they couldn't have a bigger Christmas tree. So, yeah.
What's the point of having memory? You can't take it with you. It's there to be spent.
The age-old battle between design and engineering.
Feels like we just talked about this.
Sorry. Yeah. Season 14. Yeah. I'm back. Yeah, no, we should be careful.
So what else have we got? We've got daily gilded voyages.
Daily Gilded Void.
Very generous.
That is very generous.
Surprised that we
Too
got away with
generous.
that one. Too generous. We've got daily lucky voyages.
Daily Lucky
We've got
Void.
a login bonus. So we've got festive themed flag cosmetics. And we've just got daily gold and XP multipliers. We've got cool Emporium offers. We've got a few exciting bits and pieces going on with our creators and the partner program as well. We've got plenty to come in December to kind of surprise, delight, excite, and hopefully just make the season a really good time.
So lots to look forward to in December. And lots to look forward to as we go into the new year as well.
There is.
So
there is.
you actually already have spoken a little bit about what...
What I've said.
yeah, what have you said? About what players might expect
Yes.
in season 15. Do you want to, without maybe... Let's not say more than you said already.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's my
That's
role.
what I'm here for. Yeah.
But yeah, what do you want to tease a few things about
Sure.
what players
I'd
can
love to.
expect? Yeah.
I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to. Well, I think players that have been with us for a while won't be surprised to hear that we've always wanted to expand the Hunter's Call. And there was a little clue, to be honest, in season 11 when we didn't expand the Hunter's Call at that time, that it may be something we're intending to do in the future. Why is that funny?
That's a bad clue.
No. I don't, it wasn't.
The things that we didn't do.
No.
It's a clue.
All of the companies were expanded in terms of distinctions, except
you're
the
right.
Hunter's Call. That's what I'm referring to. So that was a statement. It's a silent promise. It was a silent promise
How
to our
much you
players.
hated the Hunter's Call?
No, not at all. No. We think about Sea of Thieves. You can be a treasure hunter. You can be a merchant. You can be a bounty hunter. So you can kind of be a hunter, but you're more of a fisherman. So the idea of expanding that company for greater ways of play, so adding voyages, enriching it with emissary play, it's something we've wanted to do for a while. So that is very much the focus of season 15. And generally, as we look into next year, off the back of this year, which has been pretty focused on enriching the sandbox with tools, and most recently with season 14, things you can do with those tools in that enriched sandbox is becoming more of the focus. And you can kind of see the appetite with the community. We're looking for new things go in that direction now, where the sandbox is richer, but we want more destination, things to go do in that sandbox. So that's very much the shift as we head into next year.
Very cool. So Hunter's Call getting a little bit of love.
Hunter's Call getting a little bit of love, and also the Reaper's Bones.
Oh.
So expanding the Reaper's Bones with new activities is something we're looking at as well.
So I think you've kind of just touched on it there, but what is the ambition for next year? This was a year of a lot of sandbox tools going in. What's 2025 for Sea of Thieves?
I think it is very much around new things for players to go do within that sandbox. I mean, over and above everything we've already said about the health of the game, the integrity of the live experience, that is absolutely a focus. But I think, tools are very much the lifeblood of the stories in Sea of Thieves, but adding completely new roles to play, new activities for players will become an increasing focus.
Awesome. Very cool.
Or I like the fact that you've looked to the midterm focus for next year. I think personally the focus, say in the next couple of months, is definitely going to be on the core game experience.
Very much so. I was teeing you up there.
And I think we acknowledge that that's our primary focus right now.
Yeah.
We know that we've got some great content to go and deliver. We've got great player stories that we know we want to unlock through new content. But it's kind of, we've talked a lot about content and features in the last couple of minutes, but our priority right now is to land an improvement to the core experience. Yeah. And it's a tease, but it's not a particularly content-rich tease that we're going to make decisions over the next couple of months to make sure that we prioritize our focus on that player experience and improving that. That might mean that we make some decisions about when we ship Season 15, in what configuration we ship Season 15. And we'll probably share more on that in the next couple of months. But right now, we know what Season 15 is going to be, but our priority and focus is stabilizing the experience so it's ready for Season 15 to then go on top of it.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, it is a balance. I mean, after 6.5 years of new ideas enriching the sandbox, I think that's the bit we know we can do.
Yeah.
The richer the game gets, the more full it gets of exciting things to go do. I think the greater importance game health and having that view on the integrity of the game, it just becomes more and more important.
On that 6.5 year note, what I'm excited about is part of my job at the minute is planning our 7th birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously Sea of Thieves turns 7 in March, which is outrageous. Outrageous, really. So we've got some cool irons in the fire where our 7th anniversary is concerned. So, like, in my midterm, I'm excited to see how far we can push designs buttons on how generous we can be. But we've got some cool things planned for that, which is really exciting. I think the anniversary always is a really significant moment for us where we all kind of take a breath and look back at how amazing the last 6 years have been, and this will be no different.
Awesome. Well, I think that's enough teases for next year.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want any more?
No. I'm good. I've had my fill. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And just to reiterate, the podcast is going to be a bit more regular than before. 1 per season. We'll try and do it halfway through a season. So look out for Season 15's halfway through that. And yeah,
happy holidays.
Yeah, and have a happy holiday, and we'll definitely see you in the new year. Cool. Bye, everybody.
Bye.